Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. This is Karen by Design, and today, as by the title, I am filming my brows, guys, how to create a sculpted brow. So guys, we're gonna get right into this. Now, this is a very simple process, believe it or not. With a lot of practice, you guys will be pros. You need a few must-have items, starting with a brow pencil. The one I choose to use is a very inexpensive one from Walmart. It's under $2 Canadian. The second thing you'll need is concealer, as I've just shown. You can use any concealer of your choice. I choose to use one that is about 2 to 3 shades lighter than my skin tone so that it acts also as a brow highlighter. Next, you'll need some tools. You'll need an angled brush, which I just showed, and you'll need a spoolie, guys. Yes, a spoolie. And of course, lastly, you will need a pencil sharpener because you will need to have your pencil nice and sharp for your entire process. So let's get to this, guys. So the first thing I'm doing is I am just combing through my brows to get them in the position that I need them to be in. Now, for optimal result, it's best to start off with your brows nice and manicured. So you want to go ahead and start with your brows, tweezed or plucked, just nicely groomed. But if they aren't, that's okay, guys. We'll work around that. Mine's are not. So like I said, that's fine. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead, take our pencil, make sure that it's nicely sharpened, and you're going to want to create the shape that you want. Now, for beginners, I would suggest that you just go with the natural shape of your brow. What I'm doing right here on my brows is I'm creating a bit more of an arch because I do like for my brows to have an arch. Then I'm going back under and I'm going to connect all of the lines that I created to the tail so that I have the shape that I want. So just go ahead and see what I'm doing. Once I get the outline completed, I go ahead and I fill in the brow with the pencil. So again, guys, there's nothing fancy to this. Just go ahead, draw your brows the way you like them and fill them in. Now you'll notice I did not start drawing my brows from the very beginning of the brow because I like that part to be a little bit more ombre or faded. So once we've gotten the shape of the brow and we fill it in, we're going to move on to the next eye, the next brow. Now guys, keep in mind we do want the brows to be symmetrical or as symmetrical as possible, but your brows are not going to be identical. Remember, they are sisters, they are not identical twins. So don't feel defeated if your brows don't look identical to one another. Just get them as symmetrical as possible. So once I've completed with both brows and I'm satisfied with how they're looking, meaning they are somewhat symmetrical, I take my spoolie yet again and I brush the product through out my brows, and I also go ahead and brush the product in towards the beginning of the brow. So where I had not drawn, I'm actually just using the residue from my spoolie to add the product right at the beginning of the brow. That way it's not too heavily concentrated with the product and it doesn't look too dense. Like when people have their lace fronts and the hairline is just a little bit too dense. Well, it's kind of the same concept with your brows. You don't want the beginning too dense because I know for myself that's not how my natural brows look. So that's what I'm doing at this stage. Now we're going to take our concealer and our angle brush. We are going to go ahead and dip that into the concealer and we're going to tighten up and clean up under the brow so that it's nice and precise and very, very sharpened. Now, if you don't like that very sculpted brow look, then you can definitely skip this part, or you can use a concealer that matches your skin color. That way you don't have kind of more like the highlighted effect. So I would suggest if you're not going to be wearing makeup or you're going to be wearing very minimal makeup, that you just use something that's closer to your skin color as opposed to using a concealer that's about 2 shades lighter. Alternatively, you can also use your foundation to clean up underneath your brows, that also works. But for me, I typically like my brows to be very sculpted. I typically will highlight, and even if I'm not wearing much makeup, I'll just be sure to really blend it out. And that typically does the trick. Okay, guys, now this part is a little bit controversial because you'll hear a lot of people talk about the halo effect and whatnot. So proceed as you like. Now, I am taking the same concealer that I used for my underbrow to also clean up the top of my brow. Yes, you can again opt to use a concealer that closely matches your skin color or your foundation to do this, but I don't have a problem with that. It's just all about blending. So once you've completed the first brow, you move along to the second brow and just do exactly what you did. Follow those same steps and clean up under the brow bone and again on top of your brows. Okay, so once you've cleaned up your brows, guys, you can go ahead and you can take your blending brush, or alternatively use your fingers, they work just as well, and go ahead and blend out that concealer, guys. Okay, guys, so now I'm just going back in with my angled brush. I'm going to dip it in just slightly back into my concealer, and I'm going to take it and I'm just going to stamp the inner part of my brow with that concealer, guys. So I'm just stamping that concealer in, pressing it in, and this is also just fading it out some more. So again, I have that gradient effect, and the beginning of my brow does not look too dark or too intense. It looks more faded out. So that's the purpose of this. You can skip this part if you like. I just like for a very gradient, very thinned out look at the beginning of my brows. There you have it, guys. So as always, if you like this video, please remember to smash that like button, and I'll see you in my next video.